The Society of Actuaries Research Institute, along with our research partners from LIMRA, RGA, and TAI, have updated our data visualization dashboard that focuses on individual life mortality results. And this newest release that we published contains data through the first quarter of 2021 of individual life excess mortality that we studied. It contains data from 31 different companies representing approximately 72% of the US life industry's face amount in force. They were all included in this analysis in this report. A total of 3 million death claims and more from individual life policies starting back in 2015 through current March 31st, 2021 make up the basis of the analysis. And Jason, glad to have you here. We've discussed already and we've released some reports already in this series. I'm just wondering if you can give an overview of what's currently been published.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. It's always nice to shine a light on some of those older works we did because they're pretty good. If people want to go and give them a look, if they haven't already, we started off with a claims analysis back in March of 2021. Then we did a traditional experience study with all of the classic aggregators that you'd want, and an experience study that we released back in June, and that ran through third quarter of 2020. And with that, there was also a Tableau tool that you could use as well, just like there will be for this one. After that, we did another report, and we upped the ante a little bit by throwing on a population comparison, which was something that people were anxious to see, as how the insured lives varied over time during the pandemic versus what they had been doing versus populations. You could actually get a feel for that, which is a critical assumption if you're going to be modeling this going forward. Then we just recently released a report on reported deaths just through the third quarter of 2021. And I've already seen this thing picked up from other sources and published elsewhere. So we're getting a lot of really good feedback on this stuff, and I'm really proud of the work we've done with the SOA and LIMRA on this study.
Agree. It's really helpful information that a lot of people are using. And even if we focus on these data visualizations and dashboards, how is what we now have in this latest release improvements or different from the previous ones?
Yeah, so for this one, it's actually not going to have a report accompanying it. It's only going to be the visualization, but I don't think you're going to lose a lot from that perspective on it. In fact, you gain something in the way of another quarter worth of data. Like you said, it goes through the first quarter of 2021 now. On top of that, we also maintained, because it was so important, we heard so much about it, that population basis. Even though it's a struggle to make a good population basis that varies by age, sex, region, and month, which we went to the trouble to do for you to make it more accessible to the results, make it more easy to transfer to what you're actually doing with your company. So yeah, it's in there this time as well. So you can go in there and you can cut the data any way you'd like against those two bases. We have a VBT 15 for a traditional sort of actuarial assumption basis, and then we have the population basis in there too.
And then as that data kind of flows into at least the first quarter of 2021, what are people noticing, or what are you noticing, or what should they look for as the study gets into this more recent time in the first part of 2021?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what you see, of course, if you remember what was going on in that time period, we had a confluence of events. Basically, we had the huge winter wave surge in COVID cases and deaths in December and January, but we also had the vaccine rollout at that time. So you see both of those things interact in that first quarter with a huge spike in deaths, but also then a rapid decrease after that at the oldest ages throughout the rest of the first quarter. If you can split it out by on a monthly basis.
And then we're always thinking here about, where should we go next? What type of information, what type of studying should we be doing? You mentioned even this more recent report on reported claims. What do you see as next steps that we should be taking with future studies?
Well, funny you should say, because we're currently trying to wrap up one on cause of death, which is, besides population, that population comparison, probably the next most requested item, and rightfully so. Uh, so there's going to be some interesting things with that. That'll be a report. It won't be a tableau unless something strange happens, because it's just too complex to make it work in there at this point the way it is. But there are going to be some very interesting things that we've seen so far as far as how the age curve can impact other causes of death besides COVID, and how those things play out. And it's again going to be critical if your role has to do with modeling this out in the future. This is something you're going to want to see.
Agree. Really, really important stuff to understand what the causes of death are, where excess mortality is happening in the individual life industry in the US, and thinking about how that will play out in the future. So Jason, thanks for stopping by to discuss this really important update that examines COVID-19 era of the pandemic and the mortality experience through the first quarter of 2021.
Yeah, I'm very happy to share it, Dale. Thank you.
And I would note, if you have any feedback or questions about this report, please feel free to contact us. Send us an email at research@soa.org. This individual life COVID-19 mortality experience study can be found on the SOA website. So simply go to soa.org, click on the Research Institute, and then COVID-19, and you'll see it there among a variety of experience analysis and other impacts of the pandemic. Thanks for joining us today to learn a little bit more about the projects coming from the Society of Actuaries Research Institute.